Welcome back to a brand new video. If you remembered, I talked about Kenny Ildiz a few weeks ago, talking about him being possibly the best player in Serie A and possibly the next man up in Juventus history, but this time I'll talk about the next Serie A wonder kid, and that is Nico Paz from Como. He's 21, he plays for Como from Argentina, he plays number 10, his market value is around 55 million euros. We talked a lot about the post-Messi plan for both Barca and Argentina a few years ago, and for Barca I think the post-Messi plan has definitely been Lamine Yamal and Rafinha. Argentina, I don't think we truly got a solid look at what would be their post-Messi plan, and now Nico Paz, I feel like you can have a very big part of the answer to that problem, right? Argentina has in them Nico Paz and Julian Vargas, the two guys who are amazing players already. Julian Vargas, I feel like it truly is world class right away. Nico Paz is a guy that in the next 2 years or so will also probably view as a world class player, and yet is the guy that has definitely the potential to really become a world-class player and truly help Argentina kind of go back to the heights they once were when they had Messi on their team. Obviously they still have, but go back to achieving World Cup glory as they did to Messi and Maradona. I think it's important to talk about him being a youth player from Madrid. I think we saw a lot in the past few years of players coming to La Masia, right? Pedri, Gavi, Lamine Yamal, a lot of the big wonder kids from Spain that we've seen were probably either from La Masia or from the Boss Academy like Nico Williams or something. But those two are really the main academies that we've seen big wonder kids come out from. So I think it's pretty rare to see a player of the quality of potential that Nico Paz has come from La Castilla. So because of that, obviously, he trying to come last year from Real Madrid, and because of that, he had a buyback clause integrated in his contract. Last year was about 5 million euros that was the buyback clause was. Real Madrid decided not to exercise it and decided to keep Nico Paz at Como for one more year. And I think next year we'll probably see Nico Paz at Madrid for only 10 million euros. That's the buyback clause value for next summer. 10 million euros for a guy of already Nico Paz quality and potential can be possibly one of the best bargains in their history. We'll probably talk a bit more about that later on in the video. I think when we talk about the best number 10 in the world, I was talking about Cole Palmer, Musiala, Odegaard, Kevin De Bruyne, and more other players. I think the thing about them is a lot of their game, a lot of their play style revolves around their passing, right? I think Nico Paz is a guy that kind of unique with all that. I don't think his passing is his biggest strength in this game. I think his biggest strength is by far his dribbling. I can definitely see some Messi shins in his DNA, by the way he dribbles, like a very, very smooth dribbler. You can see like even in a small space or even in big spaces, he can truly get past two defenders with ease. And like, it's not like that dribbling that we see from a lot of wingers nowadays, like when they have the pace and they use that pace to kind of dribble past players like Pedro Neto or Rafael Leão or Vinicius Junior. Nico Paz is the type of dribbling that we saw Messi have during his whole career, right? That type of ball control and agility, Messi able to dribble past 1, 2, 3, 4 players even. And Nico Paz had that in this game, right? It's a guy that is very good at receiving the ball with his back to the goal, and able to get the off turn and dribble past one player easily that way. Also, we're talking about those off spins again. I think that's a big aspect of a big dribbler, and Nico Paz wants to ask that. So I see a lot of resemblances to Messi in terms of that dribbling aspects, and obviously I don't think his dribbling is only strength in this game. His shooting is also something that I also really like a lot, especially his long range shooting. I think outside the box, it's a guy that can give you space to. Okay, it can be from free kicks, it can be like dribble past a player and scoring from the left foot. It can be one first finishes as well. It's a guy that if you give him space outside the box, he'll definitely take a space and will probably score from it. If you see the goals he scores, I can show it because of copyrights. If you go and search up the goals he scored, you can see how well of a ball strike he has in them. And to have a guy that's so amazing a driller, that can go to the final third and score so easily with those shots, that's so amazing. And I'm not saying that it also is bad inside the box. Also a guy that's also, if you remember, like Jude Bellingham type of runs in the box. When you play with Vini alone, before Mbappe tried to come Madrid, so a lot of the time Jude Bellingham kind of go into the box and make those shots inside the box with those runs. Nico Paz is a guy that's also very much able to do that, obviously not to the same level of quality and quantity that Bellingham was able to do for Real Madrid. Also a guy that, Nico Paz is a guy that whenever it is asked for him to do, you go into the box, he's able to score a goal from the cross or score a goal from inside the box, and also that's something that I really like about him. I think what really makes him a special, unique player is dribbling. That's another reason as to why I think is a special player, that is R1 game, right? Obviously, talk about his finishing and dribbling being amazing. I think his passing, obviously, is not really world class or amazing, but it's very good still. So it's a good part of his game. And also, like, his defensive work rate and his heading is also so amazing. Especially defensive work rate, I was talking about a lot of players having to defend now. Nowadays, like, You can't have a team that doesn't defend, like, if you have a team that two players of that team won't defend, when they don't have the ball, you probably would not succeed in the big games. And Nico Paz got his defensive work rate just amazing to see. You see about the numbers, you see about everything. You can see how amazing of a defender he is at number 10 position. And also his heading is also very good. Also, he's a guy that is taller than an average midfielder. But even then, like, he's a guy that wins a lot of aerial duels for midfield. And that's something, again, makes him such another one player. Like, you can really point out a big red flag in this game. Because a lot of players, you know, even like the big, great players you see nowadays, you can kind of go watch them, like, point out a big flaw in the game. Nico Paz is a guy that truly look at the game, I don't recognize an immediate big red flag for them. Obviously, he has some weaknesses to his game. Obviously, it's not perfect, but he's a guy that, in terms of the overall play style of him as a player, I think he doesn't have a lot of flaws. I think, like, really, that thing really makes him a special player. Or then he's amazing dribbling is the fact that he's almost a perfect player. Como plays in the 4-2-1 at Italy when you go past with number 10 in formation. And I also know that for the majority of, like, the past decade, talk about number 10s dying out in football. I think the prime examples of that we have is Messi Ozil and James Rodriguez. And obviously, because nowadays the number 10 position has to do a lot, right? I don't think you can have a number 10 player that only creates, right? I think also defending is a big part of that, because I think the first line of press will probably be the number 10 player. So you also have to be able to press, you have to defend, you also have to be able to track back. And Nico Paz, I think, can do every single one of those things. And that's a guy that's looking for a player to play that like midfielder spot in a 4-2-1. That's Nico Paz should probably be the man. Right? Nico Paz should probably be the best player who can play that position, and that just speaks volumes about how great of a player he is and how great of an all-round player he also is. So I also mentioned about his passing not being truly his strongest ability. I'm not saying that is bad, right? I think his passing also, again, as I said, it's done amazing, also very good, especially in an aspect. I don't expect him to go out there and go into final third, playing against a low block, and be able to create passes out of nothing, out of thin air, be able to cross the ball into the box and assist from that. I don't expect him to do so. I don't think that's still in his game, right? But when he's playing against outlines, and when he has the ball in midfield third, and when he sees someone running behind the defense with a lot of space behind the back line, he's an amazing player, probably one of the best in the world at delivering pinpoint balls into those runners, right? Either they be next to the ground, either they be floated passes. I've seen both of those type of passes him delivered. He's a guy that's probably one of the best in the world at delivering those passes. And that's something I obviously, if you can't really still create at a high level to final third and stop playing against a low block, if you're able to make some of passes, I think that's really a massive plus. And that's obviously, like, now we're seeing with Trent Liverpool, I think that's like passing out the defense and be able to stretch lines and pin back the back lines with those passes. I feel like it's a very underrated part of football right now. I feel like you always have to have a player to be able to do that. Now Liverpool lost that with Trent, and that's made them very much struggle against teams playing a low block against themselves. And even a guy in Nico Paz is able to drop back and get those passes around the defense. Also something that even truly makes Nico Paz an even more valuable player than he is already. I think you can see about the numbers. He has taken a massive jump from last year. I think that's very obvious to see. And again, if I think his development continues to be on the right track, if these numbers continue to grow over as the season continues, I think we're going to go to the next World Cup next summer. Also, I don't think Argentina will probably make a lot next summer, the World Cup. And I think Nico Paz will probably, I think a lot about like the World Cup hype, right? I think Enzo Fernandez was the last player to really get that World Cup hype, and also from Argentina. Nico Paz will probably be one of those guys that next summer will receive a lot of World Cup hype, and it will be deserved, right? Ian Souza, a guy that only been there at Benfica for half a year, but Nico Paz will be a guy that will be 2 years now at Como, be able to be one of the best players in Serie A for 2 years now. I feel like a lot of people's eyes will be caught up on Nico Paz next summer. And obviously, as I said, I think he'll probably try to come Madrid next summer. But even then, I feel like Nico Paz will get so much hype. His stocks will rise up in terms of how much people view him as a player. I think he should be deserved. I think he's an amazing player. I think the World Cup will probably see, obviously, Argentina as a deep team. I don't know how much minutes he'll play, especially him being a player that's not really in the team setup for a long time. But it's a guy that will probably see next year come away to World Cup with a lot more hype than when he came in. Obviously, I think he's trying to come Madrid next year. I think some articles talking about is his dream to play for Real Madrid senior team. He already has played, but not really played a big role or even a medium role. But I don't think that's really the best move for Nico Paz. I think Real Madrid has a lot of offensive talent in their team. Obviously, they have struggled with combining Vini and Mbappe, but along those two, they have Rodrigo, Thomas Antonio, Arda Güler, Hendrik, even Garcia, and joining Nico Paz in that squad. It feels like a bit wrong because you have way too many players like only 3 positions. And if Alonso does go back to their to his 3-4-3 formation at the season, Schumann will also probably be number 10 option. So another guy that you have to take into account for Nico Paz game time next year. So I don't think it really was the best plan. I also don't think that there's going to be a lot of teams who are on Nico Paz level. They also need a number 10, right? I think Arsenal probably has secured. I don't know if next year with all Garcia injuries problems remaining, you can want to bring in him. City also probably has it covered, like Barca has it covered as well. I mean, I don't know. I feel like for the even Spurs went in and got like Xavi Simons and Kudu. So I think wherever it goes, either become Madrid or another big European team. I think he'll probably very much leave next summer. Because I love to see him come for one more year. Especially the way they're playing is amazing. Wherever he will go, I feel like he will shine. He'll be the best player in the team or the best player in the team without a question asked. And I'm excited to see how Nico Paz will continue to develop for Serie A this season, to play under Fabregas, who is one of the best midfielders in our generation. And I really think next year, come to World Cup, we're going to see Nico Paz appear way much more on the timeline than we're seeing right now.